you guys gonna hear me?
Hello, welcome to week number 2 of the WGL APAC Season 1. My name is Jordan Mays. Joining me is Alex Blakey.
It is great to be here, Jordan. Of course, we've just had a pretty intense week of WGL APAC tanking action last week. It's time to get right back into it. I know we've got some pretty exciting matches this week as well. It's looking good.
Yeah, it is certainly looking quite good, and we do apologise for the little bit of a delay getting us underway today, but it does seem like everything's all sorted now, Alex. We're ready to get going very shortly. Absolutely,
pretty excited. So, Jordan, our first match for today, if we can just touch on that one before we take a look back at any of the previous ones. We've got Run taking on the Coalition Zoo first up. So, Run, of course, they're the guys who have come here from the Silver Series promotions. So, one of the newer teams.
Yeah, right. I mean, they don't look too bad. I mean, we saw them last week. They went 1-1. So they're certainly able to pick up at least one of their victories so far. The same for Coalition Zoo as well.
Yeah, right. No, that's... Look, I'm looking forward to see how they play, put it that way.
Yeah, that's certainly right. Well, let's just take a quick look back at the standings from this week so far, because I guess that's going to give us a bit of an indication as to how things are starting to get going. Obviously, we have EL Gaming up the top there. Not a huge surprise at all there, Alex.
Yeah, not surprising at all, I don't think, Jordan. But look, I mean, EL Gaming, they are the powerhouse, and they're going to be the ones to beat this season, no matter what anyone else says. You know, I want to see someone beat EL Gaming, because if someone can, then that match is just going to be amazing if they manage to do that. Yeah,
it certainly is. I mean, I think that's going to... You're right. I mean, that is going to be a very incredible match if someone is able to take one away from EL Gaming. But let's have a look back at Run and Coalition Zoo for the moment, because those are the two teams coming up first today. They, you know, they haven't matched up yet so far, obviously. No. But I think between these two, it should be a pretty close game.
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. You see, Run, I mean, obviously they've got the logo advantage for those that might have just seen it there. You know, they've got a nice exit sign logo with a guy running out the door. But the Coalition Zoo, they've got the camo advantage. You know,
oh, yes.
The hot pink camo.
The famous Coalition Zoo camo. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going to be coming up today. Going to have a few interesting games coming up. Obviously, we mentioned Run and the Coalition Zoo starting us off here. Anything there that...
Well, look, I'm just zeroing in there, Jordan, on the Karen Tiger and Gold Bass match, right?
Yeah.
It's our last match today. They're at 6:30, and look, Gold Bass, right? They came from last season having been dominant in their Korean Gold Series, and this season they have started off the season with a shocker performance, 0-3, and not just 0-3. You know, you can have close 0-3s if that makes any sense. But like even their match last night, I think it was a 5-1 or 5-0. And it was really surprising to see how Gold Bass have kind of, you know, just fallen down so hard.
Yeah, they certainly haven't really been, I guess, the powerhouse that we necessarily expected them to be. Anyway, that's well, we'll have to wait and see for that later on tonight. Let's get a little bit more of information on how our matchup today is going to be going. This is our first team, Run. Obviously going to be going up here against the Coalition Zoo, and we did mention, obviously, looking pretty good here, sitting in 9th, but I don't think we can read too much into that, given that we're pretty early on in the season.
Look, it is pretty early on, Jordan, and I think, you know, give them time and they'll improve. You know, they've got some pretty good players on their team. I like watching Matchy HK, obviously their captain, Cognac Wine. I've had a few chats to him before, and he's a pretty serious tanker, but you know, give it a few more, a bit more time, and I think Run definitely can compete with certainly around the kind of mid-tier level of teams.
Yeah, certainly agree. I mean, again, it's a little bit early in the season to call anything so far, but I suspect we'll see them, as you mentioned, around the middle of the pack. Maybe not necessarily up the top with the likes of maybe Gold Bass, Horseman, but not Gold Bass, sorry, EL Gaming,
EL Gaming,
Horseman, and not at the bottom at the moment like Gold Bass.
Exactly. Look, and I think, you know, taking a look at Coalition Zoo, who they're going to be playing off today, you know, they're a funny team, Coalition. I mean, they did get through. They were in the Gold Series last season, and this season, I mean, they're kind of still you know, around the middle of the pack, as we can see there, position 7. Yeah, they're sort of the team that you can kind of miss in some battles as well. That, you know, they're quite solid. They play most of their matches pretty well. You know, they're just a bit of a rock of a team. You know, not the best, not the worst. But hopefully this season, hopefully we see them head up the top, because I really think they have the potential.
Yeah, look, I certainly agree, and I mean, it's going to be an interesting matchup here between Run and the Coalition Zoo. I think it's almost a 50-50 for me.
Yeah,
probably will go down to what maps we end up seeing today.
Well, that's a good point, because I mean, if we see something like Mines, I mean, I really feel as though the Coalition should be able to take out Mines pretty easily. But then, you know, looking over to somewhere like Ruinberg, and that's going to be a much closer to call game. Yeah,
well, I mean, I certainly, I guess, I kind of disagree in a sense that I don't know if necessarily either of these teams are particularly comfortable with Mines. Just having a look at the statistics from last week, neither team seems to be the best on Mines. If we get onto Himmelsdorf, I would suspect Coalition Zoo should probably pick that one up. They looked pretty strong on that last week.
Right.
But over on Ghost Town, if we see that here, I'd say that's going to go to Run. But it does look like we have our tank lineups coming in. The first map is indeed going to be Mines, as you mentioned. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm not sure how to call this one.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. So just taking a look down, we have got the Grill 15 over on the Coalition's lineup. Apart from that, pretty stock standard. They've got those 3 Chinese tier 10 heavy tanks, the 113s as well. And effectively, the 113, it you know, says it's a heavy tank, effectively plays like a medium. It's nice and speedy. On the other Run side, they've got, I like the E5s picked there. You know, great for poking the hill, because it's so hard to get through those turrets. And they've actually gone with the artillery piece as well, Jordan, the M40, M43. So with any luck, some of those lightly armoured tanks like the Batchats or the Grills might be getting one shot.
Well, we hope so. I mean, we didn't see much of it last week. Oh, I should rephrase. We saw a lot of artillery last week.
We did.
Didn't necessarily see impactful artillery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, none of the one shots, unfortunately. So hopefully this week we do get a little bit of a treat. Maybe if we could kick off, the first match today with some artillery one-shots.
No.
Well, I'm going to be a happy man, Jordan.
Yeah, I agree, but it does look like we are going to be getting underway here. Mines as the first map.
Mines, there we go, and of course, as we can see, that hill in the center of the map, that's the place where all these teams are going to be gunning for. Provides so much vision around the map. Essentially, you can get up there, you can sit there the entire game and be pretty good on either side.
All right, well, I mean, neither team necessarily going for a huge stack of Batchats. I mean, we've got a couple, so maybe we won't necessarily see that super quick rush into the hill, more so the heavy battle that often plays out in that sort of area.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see where these guys roll out to, but it looks like hill control is going to be the name of the game for both of these teams, which is something we don't always see on Mines. The sort of the meta game has evolved quite a bit, so, you know, before these teams used to really favour the hill control. And it looks like they're going for that again, Jordan.
Yeah, we are going to see Coalition Zoo just taking a couple of shots early on. They actually look like they want to push very quickly forward. Robbie-1 Kenobi taking a huge amount of damage, and that's a massive shot coming out from the artillery, hitting 3 tanks. The Coalition Zoo are in a lot of trouble at the moment, taking so much damage, and Run really not taking much in response. We can see the T125 here. Cognac Wine is actually going to be the first tank to go down, but the HP pool still favouring Run for the moment. They can surely hold off the Coalition Zoo here.
Oh, this is going to be interesting as they round the corner right here. Look at this. They've got a Grill on full HP. He's got a shell in his gun, but they need to make it work, Jordan.
Yeah, they certainly do. The Coalition Zoo really need to make use of that extra gun in the game that they do have. And you can see the 1390 sneaking around the back here. Looks like he's going to go and try and take out the M4043, which he should be able to do without too much trouble. He does take down that kill. Cowdy Wing going down, and now we're back to even guns in the game, or not necessarily even guns in the game, rather. Run losing another gun in the game, and the Coalition Zoo starting to take an advantage out of this one.
Run are not looking good right now. Look at this excellent flank that the Coalition Zoo have got. This is so dangerous for Run. They've got tanks on all sides. The armor of the 113 is not going to help them there.
Wow, this is absolutely crazy, Alex. I did not expect to see a result like this. Coalition Zoo just charging straight over that hill, and Run getting so many free shots into them. And all of a sudden, Coalition Zoo look like they're going to come up with a victory.
Coalition Zoo's been destroyed yet. It's insane. I thought, particularly after that early M40 shot from the artillery on the run side, that surely run would have been prepared and could have kind of capitalised on that, tried to take down a few more members. But they've only taken down Crazib in the 113. So unless Matchy HK can, I don't think he's going to be able to pull off the 6-kill the 6-kill game for some reason.
No, especially considering he's on the reload at the moment. He's going to come off, but I mean, he's not going to be cleaned up by Pixel here, but eventually in the end he's going to be taken. Oh no, he's been set on fire. He might in fact actually get cleaned up by Pixel. Oh, see you, joke. That was a bit of a joke.
It's joke.
Anyway, that's a win for Coalition Zoo. Actually their first win on defense on mines so far this season. And that puts them in good stead because we do know they're a little bit better on the attacking side than on the defending side.
Definitely. So they're going to be pretty happy about that, but I don't think Run were expecting anything quite to that level of aggression.
Well, I wasn't.
I wasn't, no.
Maybe they're taking a leaf out of EL Gaming's book.
They might. Well, honestly, if you're going to take a leaf out of anyone's book, it's going to be EL Gaming's, right? So I think... yeah, I would actually love to see more of that sort of play. It obviously worked out very well for them there, and I think they picked the right tanks for it as well. You know, they had the bad chats, they had the 113s that did really well.
Yeah.
You know, there's fast Chinese heavy tanks. They didn't decide to go for the artillery piece, instead going for the AMX 1390, that French speedy, fast tier 8 auto loader. It was very well executed.
Yeah, I actually sort of... well, when you sort of think about it in hindsight, perhaps the pickup of the artillery piece from Run was sort of a part that played on TCC's mind. They were sort of like, you know what, we have to try and get in here. We have essentially got an extra tank in the game. We might as well try and take advantage of this.
Yeah, no, I mean, that definitely could be their school of thought, because of course, guys, for those that don't know, the way that our tank picking process works is entirely random. So essentially, once these guys lock in their tanks, they don't have a great amount of time to kind of think about how they're going to play the battle out, and they don't have the opportunity to counter-pick tanks anymore. It's essentially they can go into the game without knowing anything about the opponent's lineup. So it's quite interesting to see that we might be getting more and more of that reactionary play coming out.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and have a look and see how well that artillery did, because I dare say, Alex, it probably didn't do a whole lot of damage.
Oh, there we go. So I think we can see Matchy HK.
Look, that's really interesting.
I love, honestly, that's why I love Matchy HK. You know, we saw it before the game. I think I mentioned, that he's one of my favourite players on the Run squad, and that's why, honestly, like 6 shots. Oh, sorry, he had more than 6 shots. He had about 3.4k damage, and well, I mean, there you go. The artillery piece actually. Not doing too badly. In the end.
Got a few shots off. But I think the interesting thing...
One shot only.
Well, true. I think the interesting thing for me was that the highest damage dealer there for the Coalition Zoo was actually their 1390.
That was quite interesting, and it can happen a lot in these sorts of games, right? Because often you're focusing on these tier 10 tanks, because obviously the tier 10s almost always will have a higher damage per minute value, so that means you'll essentially be able to take down more tanks per minute and be a bigger threat to your team. So what that means is that these tier 8 tanks like the AMX 1390, who might just be able to get behind the enemy team and essentially just ignored, can deal so much damage.
That's exactly what happened in that matchup there. We did see the 1390 just completely get behind the guys from Run. He took out their artillery without too much difficulty. I don't think he took any damage in doing so. And then at that point in the game, the rest of the Coalition Zoo was just charging over that hill, being a massive distraction. And I suspect that 1390 was able to just run around at the back lines and cause havoc.
Just have some fun, really. Yeah, it must be a fun feeling.
That's what you dream for when you're in a 1390,
exactly,
isn't it?
Yeah. Just being able to get behind, having the entire enemy team just not even turn their
not even paying attention
towards
to you.
That would be gold. So.
That would be the dream, and it certainly worked out there for the Coalition Zoo, but they're going to be heading over to their attacking side, and I guess if that match is anything to take anything out of, they're going to be looking to be aggressive here.
Yep. I think so. I think obviously we've got the sides flipped now.
Yeah. So
this time the guys on the Coalition Zoo will actually be on the attack rather than the defense, because you get it confused. It's like, wait a minute, were those guys attacking or defending? Technically, they were defending, but their actual play was very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
You know, a very aggressive play. So I think on the actual attack here, it will be interesting to see whether they again go for that hill push and try and capture that hill with the mine on it very early on, like we obviously saw last game, or whether they just push straight in to Run's base.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down a little bit more to how Run opt to build their tank lineup, because we did see that M4043 gives a bit of an advantage in a brawly type scenario to the team that doesn't have the artillery. So I think that was part of the reason why they wanted to be so aggressive. But we'll see. You know, we don't necessarily tend to see the defensive artillery so much.
No, not so much. It's often like the Grill 15.
Yeah.
A nice accurate tank destroyer like that does work quite well on mines on the defense when you can, you know, just poke it right back, sit it in a bush.
All right. Well, now might be a good time to bring up the tank lineups and have a look and see whether or not we're right, Alex.
Okay, what have we got here? We've got a couple of RU-251 Sparpanzers on both teams, which, you know, I like seeing the Sparpanzer, a Tier 8 German light tank, and we've got, interestingly enough, a mirror matchup as well.
That is interesting.
So both teams taking Batchats, 113s, and TVPs. So I think the guys from TCC might not be quite so keen to, you know, commit to an all-out brawl just yet, but if they do, then you know that they must be so confident, because it's a mirror matchup, obviously. So if they did, you know, try and commit to the brawl, then it'd be just like saying, okay, guys, you know, we know you've got the same tanks, but we're better than you, so we can beat you in them.
Well, I mean, you'd certainly be feeling pretty confident after that previous match. So, and you know, the brawl certainly worked out for them as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them look for a brawl here. Go up aggressively in towards that hill. I mean, they've got the RU-251, which is a quick tank. They've got a couple of Batchats, a couple of other quick tanks. So wouldn't be surprised to see a very quick hill push from really both of these teams, actually.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But early on, it looks like Run will actually be taking a Lorraine. So taking that to Tier 8 French artillery. And not quite a mirror matchup, but again, actually, TCZ, they could go for another rush here. There's an army on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a similar setup to the last one for Run, in that they've got that artillery and the Coalitions who don't. So an aggressive sort of strategy coming out here from Coalitions who wouldn't be too surprising. I guess they've held off for the moment because they're waiting for those initial reloads from the Batchats. But at this point now is sort of when we might expect to see a bit of a battle start.
Yeah, so right now, Coalition Zoo.
Artillery misses its first shot.
Oh, that was 23 damage. Honestly, it's those times when your artillery just like, alrighty, I'm gonna line whoever this is up right under my sights. And then RNG, just a bit of RNG sways in the breeze and makes your shell drift off to the left somewhere. And you don't get it. But look, so far the Coalition Zoo, they're right up on that hill. They've got 4 tanks up there. A couple of their heavies are just a little bit further down. That's going to be Haku and I think Crazib in those 113s. But they're in a good spot, effectively. So as long as they stay there, as long as they don't get spotted so that they can get whittled down by the artillery, that's going to be a danger for them. But overall, they've got a lot of vision early on, so started off this one well. Yeah,
look, this is a little bit more of, I guess, a standard matchup here on Mines, as opposed to what we just previously saw, which was a little bit more aggressive than your standard fare.
Just a touch, but I think right now we can see that Joke in this batch, and he's just looking out, and I think what the Coalition are doing right now is just kind of waiting for Run. Maybe Run might be, you know, sending one of their TVPs or Batchats to scout somewhere. Coalition could just be waiting for something like that to happen before they pull the trigger on any push or try.
Does seem like Raymond's on the move here. Do you think he's maybe trying to go for a boost? It seems like he's got a bit of a run up going on.
Oh, I would love to see a boost. It looked. Oh, yeah.
Wow, I'm good. I must be good at this game. He's not, though. Didn't get the boost. It was a good attempt.
It was a good try. Actually, I've been trying to get a few boosts out recently.
See if he has another go.
But I don't drive fast enough tanks to do the boosts.
Yeah, well, that's the trouble, isn't it?
Yeah, I tried it in my Object 263, like my Soviet Tier 10, but it didn't work.
Yeah, well, let's have a look and see if he manages to land it this time.
Oh, he's got the run up. Take 2. Can he into it. Needs to get just a little bit further left.
Yes,
Oh, yes!
he's got it.
I think he...
No,
No.
not quite.
Oh,
Close.
Raymond. Man, you got our hopes up. And dash them. So
I think he's going to get a bit of a push here from Joke.
You could just imagine, you could just imagine his team right here.
Or even Joke's going to just attempt it himself.
Maybe actually. But yeah, you can just imagine Raymond's team go like you can imagine Raymond in comms just being like, "Alrighty, guys, just wait," and they're like, "Come on, we want to push, Like, no, I can get on the hill. Seriously, I swear, third time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they've got 6.5 minutes to play with, so they're not necessarily losing anything out of this, are they?
No, as long as they don't get spotted. And
it's going to be really embarrassing if they don't actually get it in the end and they wasted like 3 or 4 minutes.
If they waste, like another 4 minutes trying to get that hill boost.
But we did see this boost come out from Wargaming actually, and they were losing that fight early on, and they were able to get this hill boost off, and it certainly turned things around.
Even with 2 tanks. Oh, Joke and Raymond, are they going to try again? These
Why
guys,
not?
I mean, you've got to give them something. They're persistent, if nothing else. Selfish guys.
I mean, surely we're going to be seeing this on the top fails of the week.
we might need to speed it up a little.
I'd like to see just sort of like a montage of it. This will be take 5. Oh, looks like Joke's got it. He's got it. He's got it.
Oh,
and
yes,
Raymond's got
gets the bump.
Raymond doesn't have it, but Joke's got it.
That's right.
So there we go. Finally, they made it up. It only took 3 minutes.
Okay, well, Rome wasn't built in a day,
Jonathan. No. Hey, I couldn't do it myself, so I can't exactly be sitting here and being like, oh, these guys are really bad.
Yeah, true. I couldn't either, but let's just hope these guys don't drive over the hill on the other side. That would be a little bit embarrassing into the ether.
Yes.
But,
I wonder, can you actually drive out of the map, or does it just stop you? I suppose it stops you.
That's, you'd imagine.
You wouldn't just fall off the cliff.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is actually a really nice spot from Joke. I think we haven't necessarily touched on it yet. You can actually spot really almost the entire enemy half of the map from up on this hill once he goes down a little bit further.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a useful position to have because not only is it not always expected, like if we take a look at these 113s, I think Keith, Keith who's actually taken a shot.
Yeah, I wonder where that was from.
Yeah. Don't think it was from the hill.
No.
Oh yes, it was. Jokes let one shell go. So you see, that was actually exactly key. What I was kind of saying there, he wouldn't have been expecting that hill push in the bat chat. I saw him earlier. He was looking down towards the kind of B9, C9 line. Had no idea that there was going to be anyone on that G0 hill because it's such a hard boost to get up to.
Yeah, so now I guess the Coalition Zoo are exerting just a little bit more pressure across the map because of that boost. You can see Raymond 350 has gone all the way back to their base, just making sure no one's pushing down the western side of the map here. But sooner or later, Coalition Zoo are actually going to make their move. And interesting, I guess, that Lorraine hasn't really been able to have an impact. There's been 6 minutes gone by, and we haven't really seen this Lorraine do anything.
Yeah, look, really would have liked to see a few more spots. I mean, the guys from Run know that there's Coalition Zoo members up on the hill. But
Joke's been spotted. He's taken some damage.
Ooh. Yeah, Joke is maybe getting a little bit too aggressive there. But look, the guys from TCZ, they need to go soon, Jordan.
Yeah.
There's 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, so they don't want to leave this push too late, particularly when there's so many fast tanks on the enemy team that can just run away and play for time later on.
Certainly right, and I think Joke is going to be quite a crucial part of this puzzle here for the Coalition Zoo. He's going to need to be able to, if not do damage from that position, spot out a lot of the enemy tanks on the side of Run. But at the moment, again, Coalition Zoo just playing so slowly. And they're just, well, it's actually quite kind of working out for them. Joke's just continually going up and down, getting a shot or two off, and whittling away the health there from Run.
It's not too bad for them. Not too bad, I don't think. But right now, Joke, I mean, he has to be careful still, obviously. Those bat chats are not really built to last. Built as a kind of light scout tank. And only 1,800 hit points as well. So, yeah, very flimsy, if you will. And the full name, of course, being the Batignolles Chatillon Char 25T. It was developed in the 1950s as well. By the French, and essentially they were trying to find a medium tank that would do everything for them. Oh, but we see the base starting to get capped up now, so...
Yeah, number 2.
Number
1, rather. Interesting that they're going for 1, because typically when we do see sort of a base capture strat here on Mines, it is over towards that 2 cap, but I guess having that player up on the hill there is making that
What
one
is Haku doing?
a little bit more enticing. And yeah, I don't know. Honestly, got no idea. Basically, the answer to that is probably dying very quickly. He's lost 1900 HP, made that 2000, and should be going down very quickly. But having said that, Joke has managed to pick up one of those run players, so it's not necessarily too bad here for the Coalition Zoo. They essentially trade out, but they've still got that time working in their favor. As I say that, though, they get reset, and we are going to see a bit more of a brawl starting out here. This has to be a pretty difficult situation now for the Coalition Zoo. They've only got a minute and a half to work with, so they have to stack their tanks on the cap, or they have to go for the fights here. And if they go for the fight, Run are probably just going to run away. This
is very tricky right now for TCZ, but it looks like they're potentially just getting a bit of a leg up. They're 500 hit points ahead so far. Crazy in the 113. He's actually in a nice spot, not too open. And that 113's nice armor is going to really do him well there. Hopefully he'll be getting a few ricochets coming in as the Scyther in that. Oh,
yep. The TVP is coming around the side here, but look at that. Madhouse taking so much damage, and I think he's going to be able to get a few more shots off before he goes down, but surely be going down very soon. Does actually manage to get, I think, his entire clip off, so not too bad at all from him there. You can see Pixel picking up Keith, and Alvin Watanabe is in a bit of trouble here as well. Run looking like they might be in a bit of trouble for the moment, but still 45 seconds left on the clock. I don't know if the Coalition Zoo are actually going to be able to clean this up in time.
This is going to be very, very tricky for TCZ. Madhouse is one shot from death. Roby, one Kenobi, Crazy. They're all one shot from death right here, Jordan. And one's just gone down. It's down to a 3-on-3 again. But the Artie's in play. He's not going to be as useful. 25 seconds.
Joke is going to have to be the key player here for the Coalition Zoo. He's the only one that has any HP to speak of. You see Madhouse missing his shot there, not able to connect with the Bat Chat there on Matchy HK. Joke now on his own in a 1 versus 2. He's got 10 seconds to play with. I don't see him winning this one at all.
TVP's run away.
The Lorraine is going to go down maybe. Best case scenario, but as you mentioned, well, I mean, that'll do it. In the end, Run picking up the victory there, and 1-1 at the end of Mines. It was a bit of a slow start, but it did get a little bit exciting towards the end there.
Exploded towards the end there, I think, Jordan.
Yeah.
And that last kill on the Badge, that was so satisfying to watch. And I think Lorraine just got the reload in time to make it happen. Otherwise, the Badge would have just got the other side of the turret. So look, they are going to be very happy that they could pull off the defense there, the guys from Run. So one apiece, Mines, fairly even map, I think. And well,
look, I guess we mentioned before the map started that we thought it was going to be a pretty even map. We thought maybe we were just going to go 1-1. Didn't necessarily expect it to go either way.
Yep.
But, you know, as we head deeper into the map pool here, once we get onto some different maps, I think that'll start to tell a bit of a story more so than just Mines here.
Yeah, look, I think so. So, as we move on to our next map, whatever that may be, I'm feeling like these aggressive maps that these teams can be super aggressive on are going to favour the Coalition Zoo for the exact sort of reasons that we saw there.
Yeah.
In that first half on Mines, but if we get something like a Himmelsdorf perhaps, maybe like a Steps, you know, I think Run should be in pretty good stead to hold TCZ off on those ones.
Yeah, it's going to be, I suppose, an interesting matchup as we continue here, because essentially you can almost disregard Mines at the moment. It's 1-1.
Yep.
It's almost like being 0-0.
Exactly.
So we're back to really square one almost.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, you're exactly right. So square one, and I think the guys on TCZ are going to be a little bit more experienced, at least in their boosts for the future maps. Now I think they finally had them kind of sussed by the end. They were like, okay,
I don't necessarily think the boost was too bit. Like, I know they didn't manage to get it off as quickly as they probably would have wanted, but I don't think it necessarily hurt them.
Oh no,
in that
definitely
it took so long.
Yeah, no, I think that the time was alright, because in the end of the day, all of TCZ ended up getting destroyed.
Yeah.
So the time wasn't particularly the issue there, but you know, maybe if we do see Steps next, we could see you know, some nice boosts up there. I know that maybe even Cliff, we saw a boost last week attempted from one of our teams.
Oh yeah, where they tried to climb up to the lighthouse.
I think it was either B Gaming or Karen Tiger.
Yeah, it was one of the later matches.
Yeah, I want to say Karen Tiger, and where they tried to climb the lighthouse. It was in a Bat Chat, and I remember Mudam was the tanker right up the front of it, trying to make that climb work, and it just did not work.
No, certainly didn't. Well, let's have a look and see how that matchup turned out for these teams, because I'm interested to see who did what in terms of the damage.
Yes, let's take a look. So, up the top we can see that, well, TCZ. I mean,
so the boost worked out.
The boost worked out.
If you remember, Joke was the one up there.
Well, there you go, exactly. And top damage, 3.2k. But this is what I always look to see in post-battle stats, right? It's taking a look at which team has the most of their members kind of clumped up together, because you know, in World of Tanks, it's not about having a team of champions; it's about having a champion team.
Yes.
And you know, yeah, sure, Joke can make the big plays, and we saw that in the match before. Matchy HK made the big plays, and got the most damage. But at the end of the day, it's how well your entire team does if they can all fulfill their roles. And I think everyone on Run did exactly that time, and the stats reflected. Yeah,
look, I think the Coalition Zoo might be a little bit disappointed with how that one turned out. I mean, they put so much effort into getting that boost off, and they did get the boost eventually. But if you know, if they can't make use of it, then what's the point?
Yeah. No, exactly. And it would have been so much nicer for them if they could have had it, you know, a couple of minutes earlier.
Alrighty, let's have a look and see the tank lineups here.
Okay. So, yeah, we will be rolling out on Himmelsdorf 3 E100s for the guys from Run. It's the most interesting tank in there. We don't often see it, but, you know, triple E's, if you want to call them that.
It's interesting, actually, that we should see Run pick this up, because last week the Coalition Zoo was the ones who were making such good use of the E100s.
Yeah, so interesting. But Coalition Zoo going with some pretty stock standard stuff. They're going with the E3 instead of the E5, so going for the slightly more powerful gun on that one. E3, very solid tank on Himmelsdorf. You know, it's so hard to get through it from the front. You really almost have to flank it. So I think some pretty good tank lineups overall, and taking those two tier 9s on the Run side instead of the tier 10, the tier 8, I think that's a good move as well. Just, you know, when it comes to an all-out brawl on Himmelsdorf, it is often better to have that extra little bit of HP, extra little bit of firepower that the two tier 9s offer, instead of something like an AMX 1390, which is great for scouting, but not great for a all-out brawl.
Yeah, I guess in terms of both teams, do you have a favourite for this map, you think?
Ooh, I'm going to go with Run. I reckon I'm going to go with Run. I like the E100 picks. TCZ are an aggressive team. Himmelsdorf doesn't really favour that style of play, so I'm going to say Run to take this one out in a close 2-0. But let's
close 2-0.
Wait and see. I might be wrong, but here we go.
Well, I'm interested to see how this one turns out, because at least from my perspective, the Coalition Zoo probably a little bit better of a team here on Himmelsdorf, but we'll see how it goes.
We will, but I love that. I love that camo of Coalition Zoo. Honestly, Run's camo is great as well.
It is growing on me.
Yeah.
To be fair, when I first saw it, I was like, ugh, that's disgusting. But you know what? It's kind of got its own little bit of a charm.
Yeah, they're having a bit of fun with it, for sure. But right now, are we going to be seeing an early... Well, I mean, it is the Coalition Zoo, so an early banana line push would not be surprising.
Okay, so it looks like the Coalition Zoo are the ones with the E100, so that fills me with a little bit more confidence as well. They do, interestingly enough, have a couple of T10s, which are the tier 9 heavy tanks. Yeah, so we can actually see here that they're already making their way towards the 2 flag, but when they get there, they're going to actually have a little bit of a problem on their hands, because there is one big angry tank destroyer sitting right on that 2 flag, so they've got to be super careful when they're pushing on towards it to kind of make sure that they don't get eaten up by that giant cannon, which I think deals around 750, 800 damage per shot. You can start to see Run have, I guess, begun their rotations across the map. They're getting a lot of information. They know exactly where the guys from Coalition Zoo are. If you sort of draw a line between the two teams, Run almost control 3/4 of the map here. So the Coalition Zoo don't have a huge amount of map positioning to work with, and they're starting to get penned in almost. Yeah, there we go. So Run right now, they really do need to make a move, and they are doing that. I'm liking the rotations. They're sending up their
AMX 1390 up above the hill, so that's one flanking route. We've got the Batchat down here, who's actually going to take a lot of damage.
Oh, he's in a terrible position. He's running to the wall, and he's going to have to turn around. Probably takes another shot. There he does. He does get tracked, but I think he's safe in that position he's in. You can see Crazy B on the 113. Looks like he's going to try and chase that one down. Probably won't get the kill in the end. The AMX 50B, though, here for Raymond, doing so much damage, and the E100s chiming in as well. This is looking very good for the Coalition Zoo.
Oh, look at this, and Cowdy Wing in that T110 E3 Tier 10 American Tank Destroyer is not looking too good. That strong armor not quite enough to protect it from, I think those AMX 50B and those E100s firing premium. The
1390 here for Run, just starting to get a little bit involved in the fight, but that gun is probably not the one that they would be wanting to be relying on here, would Run, and you can see at the moment the Coalition Zoo just starting to get a few kills going. Run able to bite one back, Roby-1 Kenobi goes down, but in the end it does look like the Coalition Zoo have the advantage. The T110E5s though trying to chase down Pixel, and they managed to pick him up. They are taking huge amount of damage from behind though, as the T10s come in, the 113 there and Crazy B as well. Just coming in for a little bit of fun, and Keith should be going down here momentarily. He does. Odysseus able to pick that one up. There's only 2 tanks remaining here for Run. The Coalition Zoo picking up, you would expect, a pretty easy victory here.
Yeah, so low some of the members on TCZ, but we can see they're Crazy somehow managing to stay alive.
Oh no, okay, that's gone on fails of the week, isn't it?
They should just let him. He's going to explode. Oh,
yeah, I reckon they should have just let him die.
They should have just let him.
That would have been maximum bad manners.
That would have been amazing if they had. Amazing, but
enjoyable end to the round.
What is it with Himmelsdorf and light and French tanks and people flipping themselves? In the
I think it's kind of
APAC.
just like one of those maps where there's so many hills where you can go down really fast. You're like, I've got to go fast.
True.
And then you turn a corner and there's like just a tiny little
bump. Yeah.
And that's enough.
That's what happened to Mudam last week.
Yep.
And that was...
So,
oh, that was good. But there you go. The E100s win again. And Coalition Zoo, they are pros at using those E100s. And I thought, particularly when they were pushing into the flag, which had that T110 E3 defending it, I think there was actually a little bit of a mistake there on the Run side.
Yep.
Right? Because the T110 E3s, very hard tank to get through, right? Extremely thick frontal armor. But it still doesn't mean that you want to put your entire front out if you can help it. And I think the T110 E3, I think it should be high enough to actually poke through that little pillbox on the flag there. And Run didn't do that. Instead, they just sent them right out into the middle of the street. So that means that, it was essentially free shooting, and they could aim
exactly where they wanted
to. So.
Oh, well, it'll be interesting to see how the Coalition Zoo go on the defensive side. Wouldn't be surprising to see a few more E100s, would it?
No, not at all, I don't think. I think the E100s worked out extremely well there. On the defensive side...
We saw them do it last week. On the defensive side.
We did.
They had a couple.
I don't think we'll be seeing 3. We probably won't be seeing 3 on the defensive side just because those E100s so slow, so hard to move around the map quickly. So...
All right, well, let's have a look and see how the E100s went in that matchup, because I suspect they probably did a reasonable amount of damage. And there you go, Joke sitting on second in one of those E100s. The AMX 50B, I guess, is not too surprising to see up the top of the damage board there with the autoloader.
Autoloader, exactly. So good at these brawls, and I think he got 2 clips off. And there we can see, let's take a look. The T10, honestly, the Tier 9 with that...
that's quite respectable.
Yeah, big cannon, deals 400 damage a shot, good amount of penetration. It's actually a Tier 10 gun that the T10 has on it as well. So pretty solid stats from TCZ.
Well, TCZ certainly looking pretty good so far this week when they've been aggressive. They looked a little bit question mark when they were playing a little bit more
a bit question mark.
Questionable, I think was the word I was going for there.
Let's go with question mark. I like that.
I had a question mark about them when they were playing a little bit slower. So we'll see what they do on their defensive side here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But Run, I'm still sticking with my initial prediction for TCZ to take this one 2-0.
Okay, I'm going to agree with that. I think the Coalition Zoo, this is probably their best map.
Okay, so we've got 2... Okay, the Coalition Zoo are going to be going with the E3 this time, that tank destroyer. It's a very heavy lineup. They've also got the AMX 1390.
Well, the only non-heavy is the 1390.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Probably going to be sending the AMX up the hill. You know, get a bit of early scouting done, I think, or either up the hill or down the rail tracks.
Down the rail tracks,
yeah. Down the one line there. So, yeah, I like the E3. They're probably going to be putting that E3 right up that top flag as well. They've got one FV215B, that British Tier 10 with super high damage per minute, nice accuracy on its gun. So overall, it's a good, solid Himmelsdorf brawling lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I guess no real big surprises coming out from either of those team lineups. It should be a pretty standard matchup here on Himmelsdorf. But I think Coalition Zoo, just for me, last week and today have looked a little bit better on Himmelsdorf than Run have. So I'd expect them to pick that one up, and that's going to put them, in theory, 3-1 up. So if we head on to the next map, hopefully it's a good map there for Run. But might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. We'll see what Run are able to do on their attacking side here on Himmelsdorf. Currently 1 down to 2, so wanting to even things up.
Okay, so right now we can see that very defensive lineup here from the Coalition Zoo. So interesting to see that even the AMX 1390 here is not pushing down that rail line, and
it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, getting the reload happening. It is probably a good thing. Taking a look at the mini map that we can see with our all-seeing eyes, of course, because all of Run are looking to potentially test the waters down there and maybe make a one flag push.
Yeah, look, I'm not super surprised to see this defensive lineup coming out from, or defensive setup rather, coming out from the Coalition Zoo. We mentioned they've got a couple of those E100s, so they don't necessarily want to be putting either of them over to a cap at the moment. They want to be sitting them in the middle so that they can rotate accordingly.
Yep, exactly, and they don't want to be too far away either way. And I think that's, is that Keith up on the hill? No.
It's Crazy B, I think.
Crazy B, I think.
So he's in the 113, a quicker heavy tank.
Yep.
Can rotate a bit quicker.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and Cud up on the hill there in his 113 as well. So, you know, good idea putting those 113s up there, and you know, they're going to be able to fire down towards that D, E, and F line if any of the Coalition Zoo guys kind of show themselves in the little street openings. In those areas. It can be quite harmful. Not good for your health, Jordan.
No.
So
looks like Run sort of seem to be slowing down a bit here. They did seem like they were, you know, quite committed to heading in towards the 1-2-3 sort of a line, but at the moment just playing relatively slowly and trying to spot out if anyone there from if anyone is there from the Coalition Zoo. At the moment, though, I guess they don't really have much to contend with. You can see Cud starting to make his way a little bit forward on the hill. He's going to run into Crazy B, and they've spotted each other out. But, you know, I'm actually a little bit worried here for Crazy B, because you can see that the 1390 here for Run is coming up behind Cud. I wouldn't be surprised to see them just charge down the hill and 2v1 Crazy B there. That
could be very, very dangerous for Crazy B. Obviously, that 1390 can put out so much damage in a short space of time. Should be able to get through that 113's armor with no problems if the Scyther just gets behind him.
Yep.
So
it looks like Crazy B kind of aware of that.
Yep.
Just pulling back.
Well, no thanks.
Yep. Good read on the situation.
Good call indeed.
I mean, I don't think he necessarily would have spotted out the Scyther, but the fact that Cud was being so aggressive and peeking in kind of gives it away.
Cud wanted the fight, and he could tell that. So we can see Joke there in that E100 just doing a little bit of side scraping. So only showing that essentially the side of his armor, so that when Alvin Watanabe pokes out with that FV215B, shoots it, just ricochets off that nice highly angled armor. So a common tactic employed by many of our Wargaming.net League players on all teams.
Yes.
Works extremely well when you've got a tank with armor as thick as the E100 has as well.
It's really interesting, I guess, now that we've got a bit of downtime, we can discuss that E100. It's so interesting for me that the Coalition Zoo picking up the E100 so much. They're essentially only the only team that does it most of the time. Like, we do see it occasionally as a pocket pick from a couple of other lineups, but really the Coalition Zoo are the only ones that make use of it as one of their main tanks, at least on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, when we take a look at some of the stats that the E100 has, I mean, its gun deals about 750 damage with those AP rounds. It's got a fairly decent kind of DPM 2.25 thousand on average. So, you know, and it's the 2,700 hit points that it has. It's just such a brute on the streets. You know, when you get into a brawl, it's going to take a while to take down an E100. Even if the E100 is caught completely out of position, it's not going to be easy.
Certainly soaks up a lot more shells than your regular heavy tank.
Yes, that's right. I mean, it's got 200 mils of frontal armor as well. So.
It's almost not even worth calling it a heavy. It's sort of, you just call it like a super heavy or something.
Yeah,
like
well, exactly.
Because that's sort of what it is.
Exactly. But of course, these guys definitely going to be trying to want to shoot that E100 down below in its lower glasses, slightly more vulnerable.
Well, we can see Run starting to make their move. They've headed at least a few tanks up the banana. I think 2 of them, Machi HK and Cud, getting a little bit of information across the map now. But still, the majority of the Run lineup just hanging around down towards that southern part of the map, the HJK line.
Interesting that we haven't actually seen a move so far, but I'm just taking a look at Madhouse. So Madhouse in that T110 E3. I'm not too sure why he's actually rotated off the 2 line there. He's looks like he might be heading 2 flag there rather. It looks like he might be heading back, but could have been a potential opportunity for a catch out on the run side if they decide to push 2 earlier on. But you know, once they've got this giant tank, this giant tier 10 tank destroyer inside that 2 flag, inside a little pillbox here, if he does decide to go there, then it's going to be just that much harder to take it. And yes, it looks like Madhouse.
It's crazy, but get out of my spot.
Yeah.
This is where I sit.
Perfect spot.
I think
right
they
there.
do know that the 1390 is actually up there. Crazy B, you could see, was on the reload just previously, so I would suspect might have taken a shot there at the Scyther, which is what we would expect to see maybe the Madhouse doing momentarily.
But right now, Cowdy Wing in that E3 on the run side looks to be just heading up as well towards the 2 flag, and I'm not really liking Run's positioning at the moment, Jordan. They're all super spread out. You know, Alvin Watanabe has a chance to be caught out. We've got Keith and Cognac Wine in the middle, in the kind of courtyard there as well. I feel so they really need to group up before they try and push on towards that 2 flag, because Coalition Zoo, you know, they're a team. They could pull the trigger any time, I feel. Even with these heavy tanks, they're nice and close to the 2 flag, so they need to do a coordinated push here, Run, to have a chance of it working.
Yeah, you're certainly right. This is going to be tough now for Run. I think they've run down the timer just a little bit too much, and you can see, as you mentioned, Alvin Watanabe really down the south of the map, still going to have a huge rotate across up to the fight here. So he's, you know, if Run takes a fight now, they're essentially going to be a tank down, even maybe 2, because Keith is really low. So maybe they're going to try and run a bit of a distraction here on the 2 cap and get a couple of those guys on the 1 cap, see if they can throw a spanner in the works, so to speak, for the Coalition.
They need to do it soon, though.
But
like, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. This is, like, I would not be wanting to leave it this close. No. You know, we've got Cognac Wine here in the FA215, but he wants to go in. And I'll be so interested to hear in on Run's team comms right now, whether they're kind of cool with leaving it this late, or and even the Coalition Zoo, they've got to be like, wait a minute, what are they doing? Why they're leaving it so late?
They have almost sort of counted themselves out of getting a capture victory, because really it only takes like 1 or 2 resets here for the timer to run out. So Run finally getting a tank on the cap. That's going to be the Scyther in a reasonably standard position with the 1390. We see this a lot, but he's not that difficult to reset at times. You can just chuck a bit of HE around that corner, and sometimes you'll be able to do a bit of damage and get the reset relatively easily here. So the Coalition Zoo, I would expect, not too worried about this. As you can see, Roby1 Kenobi now just making his slow march forward in the E100.
with another E100 right behind him there in Joke. And here we go. There, fight's breaking out now, I think, Jordan.
Yeah, finally the first bit of damage going to be going across. And oh dear, the Coalition Zoo going to take so much damage on this cross. Actually, they're not quite being punished for it. And they've only taken 1,200 damage on that cross there. I think maybe Haku took a little bit as well, but that's their tier 8. So not too bad of a situation now for the Coalition Zoo. They're actually ahead on in terms of HP. They have lost the first tank, but again, it's their 1390. They're not too worried. The timer still ticking down here. Run only have a minute to close out this match, and the Coalition Zoo putting themselves in a great position to be able to pick this one up, if not by destroying all the enemy tanks, just by running down that timer.
And there's another fight going down just a little bit below the flag right here, Jordan. We can see these E3s battling it out against the E5. FE215Bs in the mix as well, and this is neck and neck here. It's neck and neck on both sides, but the issue is for Run, the cap, they need to do it in 40 seconds.
Yeah, there's 35 seconds even left here on the clock for Run. There's no way a capture victory is even on the cards at the moment for them. The Coalition Zoo, all they need to do is survive for another 25 seconds, and they will be able to win this round. But look at how low their HP is getting. The T110E3 Madhouse, really the only one with a huge amount of HP, and well, he's been completely outplayed, I guess, by that T110E5 there. He's been turned around and, well,
oh yeah,
he's going to be okay.
Madhouse, can he get it? It might be, oh, it should only be one shot. Yes, he gets it! One shot from Madhouse. And there you go, 0 seconds left. The Coalition Zoo take out another one against Run in the... Whew,
yeah,
that was hard to pick.
I think it's hard not to be critical of Run there, because they really backed themselves into a corner. I mean, they played down that timer for such a long time. They didn't even really commit to anything before, what, 2.5 minutes was left?
Yep.
And as a result, they backed themselves into a corner and they couldn't get out of it. They had to go for the fights, and they just weren't able to get the damage across in time.
And the interesting thing with Run there, right, is that I understand if you're going to be kind of playing it defensively on Himmelsdorf and looking to get some early picks, but they didn't even capitalize on, for example, the pick that they could have got early on that 113 up on the hill. You know, we had the Amex 1390 come up. The other 113 was there as well. All that Run had to do to potentially take out the 113 early on was just push over. They had 2 tanks on the hill. You know, they could have looked at TCZ's tank lineup and gone, well, you know, they've only got the 113 here. They're probably not going to send 2 tanks up the hill, and pushed him, taken 1 tank out, and coordinated a full push on towards that 2 flag.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of things there that Run could have done differently, and a lot of things I think that if they had done differently would have allowed themselves to have a better chance of picking up that map there. But again, I feel like Himmelsdorf is a really strong map for the Coalition Zoo, so I'm not entirely surprised to see that 2-0 coming out. And again, I'm not too worried either for Run, because heading on to a couple of the other maps, I feel they're a little bit stronger for Run than Himmelsdorf. Yeah,
I agree with you. So I wonder as well, we had that excellent play earlier on with...
And again, this is another important part of the matchup.
And look at this, they crossed the street, but this is where the E100s come into their own. They crossed, the guys from Run got 1 shot off, the guys from the Coalition Zoo got 1 shot off in those E100s. Guess who wins out of that? E100s.
Yeah.
That's, you know, a huge amount of huge amount more damage per shot. So, and here as well we can see this little brawl went quite well for the Coalition.
Yeah, this was sort of like a turning point in the match. It looked almost like Run might be able to get all the kills in the end there, but Coalition Zoo just hanging on long enough, and in the end were able to pick up the kills for themselves.
Yes.
But I certainly feel like on that cross, the Coalition Zoo certainly should have been punished a little bit more.
Yep, definitely. They could have, you know, tried to maybe track. I think the 113 crossed afterwards after those E100s.
Well, that's right. I mean, no one got
that.
tracked. That's again a little bit interesting, but that's yeah. Well, who knows? Like there was a lot of things that could have been a little bit different there, and yeah, I keep going back to that cross, but I really think there should have been a lot more of a punishment.
Exactly. No, I completely agree with you there, Jordan. And you know, when you've got tanks just completely freely crossing the street where you've been set up, where you've had the last 8 minutes to set up, it's like, really, you want to try and take out at least one? Yeah, really?
Really? Yeah, I don't know. What are you going to do about it? That's how it just turned out. And again,
the cookie crumbles.
That's
how the
tracks fall off. That's the one you made up last week.
I don't think Twitch chat liked that one.
No, I don't think anyone liked that, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it's pretty terrible.
Anyway, the Coalition Zoo up 3-1 at the moment, so, well, fingers crossed, I guess, for Run that they're going to be able to get themselves on a good map and pick up a couple of wins here, because they're getting into dangerous territory now.
There we go. So I think we can take a look at those post-match stats and say that crazy for TCC. 3.7k damage in that 113. Odysseus in the IS-7, 2.6k. So, you know, good damage numbers from everyone. It was definitely a brawl. Everyone definitely kind of had their share of damage.
The post-battle stats, I guess, don't necessarily tell the story of the match.
Not on a brawl like Himmelstoff, exactly. So,
like, sometimes you can look at the post-battle stats and see, you know, 3 or 4 tanks up the top for one team. You're like, oh yeah, they definitely won. But if you looked at those stats, it would be really hard to call who actually won that battle, because it got so close.
It did. It got super close. So I think even that lowest E100 that only got 2 shots off, 2 shots of an E100 is still a pretty fair amount of damage. 1400, 1500 damage.
Yeah, certainly a pretty dangerous tank. And the Coalition Zoo, you know, once again, we saw them do it last week, we saw them do it this week. The E100 certainly is a big piece of the puzzle for those guys, and it's working out well.
Honestly, like I would so love to see the Coalition Zoo just be the team that picks at least one E1 or like maybe even 2 E100s on every single map.
Well,
like I mean, I'm getting a little bit
grasping at straws a little bit.
Grasping at straws a little bit, but how fun would that be? To just be like, you know, knowing you're going up against the E100 team.
Yeah, it is interesting that no other team tends to use it. I mean, sometimes we'll see it on Ghost Town, but that's about it. Anyway, we'll take a look and see. Next map is going to be Ruinberg.
Ruinberg, and the Coalition, they're not disappointing us with their tank picks again, Jordan, because they've got an FV 4005 on their lineup, that British Tier 10 tank destroyer with the big 183mm cannon on it that can, well, if it gets a good enough shot, easily one-shot something like that T-54 lightweight there, and maybe if it's lucky, even the Bat Chat.
Yeah, so Ruinberg, interesting one for me, because like we haven't necessarily seen it too much for both of these teams, but Run, they played it once or twice, I guess. They played attack and defense. They've got a 50% win rate on it, so they won the attacking side, lost the defending side. Over on the Coalition Zoo, they played it 3 times, defended twice, attacked once, and they haven't won a single time. So maybe a little bit better of a map here coming out for Run.
Well, I think that is why Coalition Zoo are kind of overdue for a win right here. Because, you know, like they've lost quite a few. I think from memory, some of their matches were close, quite close on Ruinberg. So they haven't taken any E100s, unfortunately, which is probably a good thing, to be honest.
But no, it wouldn't necessarily be that bad on the 1 cap.
No, yeah, maybe 1.
Maybe 1.
Maybe 2, maybe 3.
You wish.
Kidding. I love my E100s.
Yeah.
But anyways, the FV 4005. That's an interesting enough tank for me, of course. That tank destroyer. But here we go, jumping into the map. I think we can see the 2 flags. That 1 flag up near the city, and the 2 flag down out near the town. We've got 2 tank destroyers on the Coalition Zoo side. We don't see that every day, Jordan.
No, we do not. That is interesting, actually, especially considering they're on the attack. So, probably expecting to see sort of a slower-paced game from the Coalition Zoo here.
Well, you say that, but they are just about already on towards that 1 flag, and you know, the 1 flag is where these tank destroyers can just look down the street and get some good firing positions on towards.
That's right. Look where they're setting up.
Yeah, on towards the Run members from the spawn. So these guys, they're gonna just go for the brawl, I think.
Oh, this is gonna be really bad for
Shots
Run if they
missed.
don't manage to take out. How is this guy still almost on full HP? Raymond, he got tracked, and I think, as you mentioned, like 3 or 4 shots missing him. But it does seem like the Coalition Zoo are going to take a bit of damage on this cross. Probably not as much as they deserved. Again, I feel like that's a mistake from Run. They needed to punish that again. And we'll see whether or not the Coalition Zoo are going to be able to capitalize on that. You can see Odysseus able to take 1 shot onto that 113. The Coalition Zoo, these tank destroyers starting to move forward. And, well, this is going to be dangerous for Run.
very, very dangerous indeed, Jordan. These two tanks right here for Run are going to be pretty scared. Taking a look at the 4-man wolf pack of the Coalition Zoo that's right up next to them, and the base as well. The Coalition Zoo, they're putting the base cap pressure on in 28 seconds. They're going to win.
Yeah, you can see Run have sent a couple of heavy tanks forward down that sort of a 5-6 line. They've got some rotators coming around through the town as well, so it's not all too peachy at the moment for the Coalition Zoo. They do need to be careful of how things are going to go. They need to find an early pick here. If they get flanked by Cud and they lose a couple of their tank destroyers very quickly, they're going to be in trouble. As I mentioned that though, the T110 E3 able to pick up the Scyther there in the T54 lightweight. Still not the tank they probably would have wanted. Cowdy Wing able to take down one. It's a trade back, and it looks like the Coalition Zoo starting to falter here on their attacking side on Runeberg.
Oh, this is not looking too good at all. Joke, he did actually manage to get a good shot off, but where's this FE 4005? Has not done too much so far, I don't think. The Coalition Zoo, they're down to 4 members. Run still looking a lot better on the HP side of things, Jordan.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the Coalition Zoo in a lot of trouble at the moment. Madhouse, he gets a massive shot off to the T62A, but I think it might be a bit of a wooden spoon prize at the moment because he's really the only one with any HP to speak of. Roby-1 Kenobi and Odysseus here in the Object 140 and the T54 respectively.
Ooh,
not too healthy, and you're right, it is a 3v3, so it's not all said and done here for the Coalition Zoo. Keith in the FV215V just charging around the house here. He's actually going to... Did he miss or did he not even fire?
I don't think he fired.
He didn't fire. Alvin Watanabe is going to go down.
Oh, look at the bat chat! Look, the bat chat's just been dropped down to 56 HP by the FV 4005, but I think that might be just about it. The 25-second...
He's not going to have the reload off here, surely, and I don't think he's going to be able to get there and ram him. Oh, that's heartbreak.
Oh, and
where's the high roll?
Where's the high roll? Exactly. That is where, you know, you're Madhouse and you're just like, please give me a good roll. Give me a good bit of RNG game, please. And 56 HP away.
Another big shot going over to Keith.
Yeah, that one didn't go through.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see Madhouse up on the top of the damage charts.
Yeah, I think he's completely decimated Cud, and he got a good shot off on towards that T62A as well. So, they gave it a good try.
Yeah.
They gave it a good old try, but Run taking it out.
Yeah, look, again, it's not the greatest of maps there for Coalition Zoo. A little bit better for Run. Not too surprising to see them be able to pick up the defensive side there. It was a bit of an interesting sort of a strategy coming out from the Coalition Zoo. I think we can agree on that. Yeah,
look, they were lucky in the way that they didn't get super punished by that cross that they did when they went all the way across the flag, across the road, into those houses.
Yeah.
But I feel as though the actual flag play itself could have been handled just a little bit better. And, you know, they had mediums and they were kind of trying to brawl with those FE215Bs that were set up in defensive spots.
Yeah.
You know, just you're always sort of on the back foot when you're doing that. And it's all well and good getting those nice shots later on in the FE 4005. But you really need to...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he of course he got a lot of damage off, but most of it was irrelevant damage. In the sense that it wasn't playing a part in the battle at all. The battle was already over by the time those two shots went in.
You know what I would have liked to see there? I would have liked to see just maybe 1 or 2 AMX 50Bs on the Coalition Zoo's side. I feel as though just a couple of autoloaders, even T57 heavy, probably not T57, but yeah, let's go with AMX 50Bs.
Yeah.
Right? I feel as though that could have really helped them win out some of those brawls. You know, it's still fairly fast enough for a heavy tank.
Do you think that the double tank destroyer was a mistake? Like they could have just swapped one of those tank destroyers out for
that
the
was
heavy?
Confusing. That was very confusing that they decided to go for the E3 and the FE 4005, right? Because obviously the E3 takes so long, even just to turn its turret around.
Really vulnerable.
And we saw then that the E3 it couldn't turn around in time before, you know, when one of the bat chats of Run came right up behind it on the city street.
Right.
And it's like, of course, that's always going to happen. Of course, Run are going to send a bat chat behind an E3. That's just common sense.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's have a look and see how the FE 4005 did, because we mentioned in the middle of the game we thought it might be up the top of the scoreboard, and well,
there we go.
Not a surprise.
Yep, 5 shots, 1 kill, definitely did the job.
So in the end, he probably did get a couple of relevant shots off there.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, the rest of the team wasn't there. Did you feel like maybe the tanks that got across into those houses probably should have done more with that position?
Yeah, it's tricky. They sent 4 across into the houses, and they might have kind of hesitated a little bit too much, I feel, when they were there. You know, Raymond only getting essentially 2 shots worth of damage off in his Object 140, which, you know, really would have been nice to see a little bit more than that. So, yeah, but...
Well, I mean, considering the fact that they didn't get punished for it,
exactly,
they probably should have gotten more out of it.
Yeah.
Like, if they had taken 5 or 6 shots as they crossed, then sure. But, you know, who knows? We'll have a look and see. This is sort of, for me, where they probably should have pushed the advantage. They had a 4 against 2. If they had peeked around the corner, hidden behind the enemy tanks, they wouldn't have been able to take damage from the guys up in the town proper for runs. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a little bit sloppy there, and we can see this was where Keith just missed a shot, and we can see Cud in the meantime
got destroyed.
Almost one shot.
Not destroyed,
almost one shot. If you actually did get one shot, then
would have been good to see.
Oh, would have been amazing to see. I mean, you're probably not going to be one-shotting any FE215Bs.
No.
With the
FE4005.
FE4005. Yeah. I always think of the FE215B 183 was the one that I have. Of course, same gun, but for those that don't know the difference, the 4005 has just a little bit better stats on its gun than the 215B 183.
Yep.
Right. So I think the aim time is slightly less dispersion on the move, because it's got the gun in the huge, massive housing.
Yeah.
That, by the way, you can shoot through.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Not the worst of tanks, but certainly not the tank that we tend to see a whole lot, the FE4005. I think really the only map I've ever seen it picked up on it actually has been Ruinberg.
Yeah, it seems like it on Ruinberg. And really, the trick with the FE4005 is because it fires those Hesh shells, you really need to penetrate with it, right? And so you need either super light tanks or to shoot the sides of tanks. So.
Right, well, let's see if we're going to be seeing it once again on this map here on Ruinberg. Got our tank lineups ready. Doesn't look like the FE4005 is going to be coming out.
Okay, so the Coalition going to be going with that grill.
AMX50B.
AMX50. I like the AMX50B there. And we've got the Tier 9 bat chats. Great to see 2 of those on the run side, and a couple of IS. Well, 1 IS7, 2 113s, but overall, I'm liking the Coalition's picks quite a lot more this time around. Now that they've got the Guerrilla, now that they've got the AMX50B, of course they are on the defense right here, Jordan, the defensive side. But you know, it should work out a little bit better if they are forced into.
Yeah, look, I think just having that single tank destroyer is probably a better idea.
Yep.
I'm a bit more of a fan of the grill as well, as opposed to the FE4005. The T110E3 I think has its place, but to me it always seems to feel a little bit too vulnerable, and that's funny to say considering I'm talking up the grill. But I feel like the grill just has a bit of an easier time of maneuvering around, getting away.
Much more mobile, and with the T110E3, you know, you really need to have walls on 3 sides of you.
Right.
So, you know, like that's the ideal situation. That's effectively why we see it get picked on Himmelsdorf so often, because you're always going to have at least 2 walls.
Yep.
So.
Alrighty, well, thinking about this one, I think TCZ are putting themselves in a better position to be able to pick it up. Still not 100% sure about them on this map in particular, but if there is an opportunity, I suppose, for them to win around here, this would be the one. Yeah,
TCZ, I feel as though they should be able to pull this one off on the defense. I mean, look, Run, they're both very evenly matched teams, but
yes.
That last map just showed, I feel, that Run are more comfortable on Ruinberg, you know? So, here we go.
Alrighty, let's take a look and see how the teams are setting up. Looks like Run spreading out a little bit more than the Coalition Zoo did on their attacking side.
Yeah, so Run are not going to be going for that super early 1 flag push from the looks of things. Instead, maybe kind of spreading a few tanks towards a 1 flag, just feeling things out there, getting some early reconnaissance started with these 113s and the IS-7. So, in the meantime, the Coalition Zoo, interesting, they've sent, or they've got 2 tanks near that 1 flag that are already taking a few shots. Roby 1 Kenobi and Crazib there. So, and the Grill 15, Odysseus, is effectively in a firing position for that 1 flag as well. So, this is going to be a very dangerous flag for Run to try and push onto.
Yeah, I like this position that Odysseus has found himself in. I mean, he's got, as you mentioned, a good firing position onto the 1 cap. If Run decide to go to the 2-cap, he's also got a really quick rotate. So that big important gun for the Coalition Zoo is going to be a present threat on both the cap sites.
Yep, definitely. And Odysseus right there, we can see him, he's using that rock as a bit of cover, so I think that's a pretty good move as well when you're in the gorilla, which has essentially non-existent armor. So I think just taking a look, we are going to be seeing a rotation here from Run. So they're going to be flipping it around a little bit, maybe trying for a push on towards that 2 flag, which could work a little bit better for them if they kind of go all the way down. But we can also see that I think that is going to be Haku in that T62A is sitting right down there on that 0 line. So if they pop out, he's going to be able to get off an early spot and kind of alert the rest of his team.
Very often we'll see a player on the defensive side in this position. Actually, this time, Haku are playing just a little bit more forward on the other side of the road. Generally speaking, we'll see them more towards the, I guess, the eastern part of the map as opposed to the western, which doesn't make much sense because they're far, far on the east. But he, generally speaking, just be playing behind the road as opposed to on the road. And actually I like this position a little bit more. It gives him a little bit of an earlier spot, and I don't think he can necessarily be overwhelmed as much because, you know, when the guys from Run come up here, he's going to spot them before they get to him as opposed to when they're crossing over that road.
Yep. So I think right here, Run just playing this one nice and cautiously. They're not forcing anything just yet. This is obviously a Run style of push, you know, where the Coalition Zoo might just all kind of go out at once and sort of YOLO it a little bit. Run right here. They're taking their time. Cowdy Wing, I'm not entirely sure what he's doing in that IS-7, but
I thought he was going to try and reverse side scrape up there. Wouldn't have made much sense because he doesn't have the gun depression to shoot. Yeah. But now kind of doing a little bit more of an expected position. Yeah. Okay, as I say that, this is a little bit crazy.
Oh.
Not going to be punished for it though. Bounces to shell.
One shot coming in there from the T62A, I think. So now that the Coalition Zoo, they've spotted out Cowdy Wing, and when you're setting up in a position like that, that is pretty indicative that your team is going to be trying for a 2 flag push, because that is an excellent position to hold if you want to do the 2 flag. The question now becomes whether Run leave 1 tank back at the 1 flag here to put some cap pressure on while they're on the 2 flag, but because they have those 2 tier 9s, they can't really afford to do that because they're just a little bit too valuable to not have in the battle.
Yeah, you're certainly right. Matchy HK just going to be crossing there pretty safely. And it does seem like Run are really looking to commit towards this 2 cap. As you mentioned, really not worthwhile leaving one guy over towards that 1 cap when that extra gun in the fight could be the turning point.
Could be indeed, particularly with these tier 9 bat chats that can unload a lot of damage in a clip. The Scyther and Cognac Wine driving those ones. Oh,
what is he doing? You know, it would be hilarious if he gets stuck here.
That would be brilliant. Maybe he's trying to make his way into the
I think
house.
He's trying to get in there, but it doesn't seem to be working out too well for him at all. There you go. He's finally gotten in.
Nice.
Now the question is, can he get out if need be?
You'd hope so.
I think you can get out.
Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Wait. Yep. Oh,
this is
look
a
at
really
that.
strange position.
I like it though. He's got. Oh.
Do you?
Okay, I don't like it. I thought he had slightly more frontal cover than that, but Haku. Hold that thought, Haku going in on.
In such a huge amount of trouble here. Cognac Wine, though, taking so much damage. It is going to be traded out there, so I don't think that's too bad of a situation at all for Coalition Zoo. Look at how much damage they're putting across to the Scyther as well. As soon as they're off the reload, they're just peppering him. And have a look at all of those traces heading down into that KO line. The Coalition Zoo definitely taking advantage of all those spots that Haku was able to get across.
Definitely, and we can see the base cap has now started to Run, applying some pressure that way, but the Scyther has to be so careful right here in that Batchat 25 TAP that he doesn't get shot anymore. The Coalition, they're fully poised. They're all there on that 2 flag right now, Jordan. They are set up for the perfect defense.
They certainly are. You can see the Coalition Zoo starting to rain damage in across towards that cap circle. The resets coming out. I don't think Run are going to be able to capture this one at all. Keith and Alvin Watanabe just really overglorified paperweights at the moment because they're just capping and doing nothing else apart from soaking up damage. You can see another shot goes there into Keith. Cud in the Batchat 25T is going to move forward and try and get something across. able to bounce a shell there, but another kill goes in the favor of the Coalition Zoo, and Run all of a sudden capitulating on this offensive.
There we go, Run not looking good at all. They pushed into a flag that was completely manned by the Coalition Zoo. Not much they could do about it, and with only 3 members left, I can't see a way that they're going to be able to claw back from this one, Jordan.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Matchy HK getting taken down to 123 HP. The Scyther only on 358, and the Ram not quite going to be enough to close it out, but not too much of a bother there for the Coalition Zoo. They're going to just wait and well, very easily pick up the Scyther here, but that's going to put the Coalition Zoo ahead 4-2 after our first 3 maps. So, getting on to the next one, they need 1.
Yeah, they've got to be pretty happy now that they've sort of stopped their 0% win rate on Ruinberg.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something to take out of that. One apiece, not too bad. That was a very convincing defense as well. I feel as though Run, if they'd actually maybe tried to go in towards that 1 flag or something, you know, yeah, if they tried to go in towards that 1 flag earlier on, maybe done a little bit of a rush there and sent a few tanks out the middle or through the middle to get some flanking shots on towards the defenders' TCZ as they move towards a 1 flag to defend them. Something like that might have worked better. But obviously hindsight is 2020. They tried their best. They tried for a pretty clean execute on towards that 2 flag, but really once they pushed up towards that T62A, they're like, oh yes, a free T62A kill. Yes. Oh no. Well blowing up.
That's the trouble with pushing that player in the KO area, because like probably 99 out of 100, even maybe more than that, times you're going to have enemies up in the town there, just backing up their little, in that case T62A, because you know they almost essentially throw away that player in the KO line in favor of heaps of damage across the opposing team, because
heaps of damage,
they get so many spots and so much free damage goes across.
Exactly. So I think that was, you know, just good play all around there by the Coalition Zoo, and well, with 1 game to go, if they win this next one, pressure's on Run.
Yeah, it certainly is. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from that matchup there, because I'm sure there's a few of them.
I'm sure there is, and right here, let's take a look. That was when we could see Cud getting a little bit demolished as he headed down, and just those tanks on the flag. Keith and Alvin Watanabe just took so much damage. It was very, very hard for them to
see. That's why I'm not such a huge fan of the 2 cap. Like, I feel like it's just so open. There's so many options for the defenders, and you know, just feels like the 1 cap is a little bit safer.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've seen 2 flag pushes work, and most of the time when I actually see them work, it's because these teams can actually get right up in towards the town and force a brawl in the town. But when you're just sitting up, you know, on that flag cap, just like the guys from Run were there, essentially completely out in the open, without any real cover to speak of, in that flag circle, it's really tricky to win a firefight like that.
Yeah, it certainly is. So I guess looking forward to our next map, we don't know what it is going to be yet, but I think the best case scenario probably for Run is they get onto Ghost Town. Yeah. They have a 100% win rate on it so far. Having said that, they've only played it a couple of times, so it's a bit of a small sample size.
And we've seen TCZ on Ghost Town as well, and I quite liked TCZ on Ghost Town.
Yeah, they have a 50% win rate on Ghost Town, but getting a bit ahead of ourselves, let's have a look and see who did the damage in that matchup on Ruinberg.
Okay, so I'm betting that our friend in the Grill 15 is going to be up here somewhere. Oh no, I'm wrong. Where'd the Grill go? That's devastating. But I think AMX 50B up the top. Look at that, these AMX 50Bs. That's why I like seeing AMX 50B on Ruinberg. You know, there's just so many times in Ruinberg where you could just unload an entire clip onto tanks without covers, and unfortunately the Grill 15 got 5 shots off, but only 1 of them hit.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Not great for.
Well, maybe only 1 of them penetrated.
Mate, well, true, potentially.
Which is still not a good stat.
Yeah, and when you're exactly when you're on the tank with the highest accuracy in the game, you probably want to be penetrating most of your shots, and using premium as well. So.
Yeah. Well, the Grill 15 not quite working out there, but it's okay. TCZ able to pick up the victory anyway. So Probably not too worried about that, but might rethink their strategy next time on Roomberg.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm still a fan of the grill. Like, even though the statistics there didn't necessarily favour it.
Oh yeah,
so
I
much.
still like the absolutely 100%. You know, yeah, if the grill had actually just hit those 5 shots, and instead of 750 damage, that would have been multiplied by 5. So
yeah,
you know, quite a fair amount. That would have been about 3.5k. If the grill had got all of those shots off. But you know, Odysseus, he's, I suppose, maybe got to go back to the shooting range and try and back to the proving grounds, if you will, and shoot a few paper tanks, shoot a few ghost tanks even.
Well, probably paper tank's not necessarily the greatest because, you know, it's basically an auto pen.
Not even if they had big like targets on.
Maybe.
You reckon?
Maybe.
I reckon if they had targets on, it'd be good.
Anyway, digressing a little bit here, let's have a look and see what the picks are for Prokhorovka, interestingly enough.
We have got a Lorraine on run side, so they're opting to go for that French Tier 8 artillery piece. It served them well on mines, so why not, I suppose. Coalition, though, going to be going with a very fast-looking lineup. No real heavies. They've got the 113s, but no real heavies in the mix there. Everything's looking pretty fast. RU251 as well for their Tier 8. And they've even got a TVP T5051 in the mix as well. So that fast Czechoslovakian Tier 10 medium autoloader.
Big fan of the TVP.
I like the TVP. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get its entire clip off in under 5 seconds, for those that didn't know.
Yeah, certainly a bit of a dangerous tank in terms of the damage it can deal. Probably not the most defensive of tanks.
No, you probably don't want to be taking too many shots in your TVP. But here we go.
Or in general, really.
Or in general, exactly. At Prokhorovka, we've got the 2 flags, of course, one on either side of those rail tracks and one just up near that town, one right out in the open in the field. Let's see where these guys roll out.
Okay, TCZ on the defensive side here. That's going to bode well for them. Prokhorovka had a 75% win rate on the defensive side across everyone throughout last week.
Nice.
So every team had a bit of a better time on the defensive side as opposed to the attacking side. So the Coalition Zoo might be looking down the barrel of a 5-2 victory here.
They might be, I think, Jordan. So here we can see Coalition Zoo. They're going to be setting up pretty nicely for a 2-flag defense with one of, I think that's their RU251, going to be heading up the hill as well. So Roby-1 Kenobi is going to be trying to get some early spots off. And we can see that Lorraine has actually pushed over the tracks, County King, and I really like that. Ooh, nice.
Machi HK taking a little bit of damage there, but not a huge amount, nothing to worry about for the moment. Right, I've got themselves in some nice positions actually. They've pushed quite forward. And I guess they're just going to slow down now and wait and see if County Wing on that Lorraine can do a bit of damage.
Yeah, and the reason that I like County Wing pushing onto the other side of the tracks, like, yes, he could just stay in his base and you know, shoot from there, wouldn't even have to move. But not only does it offer him a little bit more protection having Cud here, sort of on the Overwatch position, looking out for him to see if any of the Coalition flank, but it also means that Lorraine is going to be slightly closer to these run guys as well, which obviously means if your artillery is closer, then less dispersion and
less
hopefully more hits.
Yeah, you're certainly right. Unfortunately, that one that he just fired off, not turning into a hit there for Run, and at the moment it seems like Run are actually taking I suppose the lion's share of the damage. They're down to just over 11,000 HP. The Coalition Zeus sitting a little bit happier, above 12,400. So Run need to be careful with their positions. The Scyther has been spotted out as well. And if he just sits in that position, it's basically free shots for the Coalition. And you're right. This is great from the Coalition Zoo. They're actually going aggressively forward. Cognac Wine is going to be taken down there.
They're on the other side of the tracks. In a terrible
position as well. And as you mentioned, no backup at all coming from any of these players on the side of Run. They're all over the other side of the track. They can't do anything about this.
Oh, this is a terrible start right here for Run. I'm not sure what they were thinking, putting these tanks on towards the other side of the tracks. The Coalition Zoo have read that perfectly. They didn't spot any of them, and they knew that they could just go in, and that's what they did. See you later, Lorraine.
Yeah, the artillery down for Run, and well, there's 4 tanks left on the field here, but Coalition Zoo looking extremely healthy across the board, and Run have got absolutely terrible positions as well. They're out in the open. The Coalition Zoo just getting so many free shots across.
Yeah, there's... Oh, look, I mean, it's very early to call, but I think there's really no... there's going to have to be some big misplays from the Coalition Zoo that, you know, if we want to see Run come back into this game. But, you know, they are getting themselves on the flag cap. I'm not too sure whether that's just because Keith is, you know, trying to kind of run around a little bit, or whether he is actually trying to put some cap pressure on. But at least Raymond now in that TVP is reloading. So, look, the guys from Run... At this point, their only hope is going to be that if Coalition Zoo, you know, run out into the open and don't shoot them.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
No, certainly not. Another player going down for Run. The Coalition Zoo looking fantastic on the defensive side here on Prokhorovka. This is the first time they've played it this season, and certainly showing up.
Yep, certainly showing up extremely well. So once they finish off all of these tanks here, I mean, Run, I'm not sure whether that was a communication issue or whether they actually just didn't think that the Coalition Zoo would push into them when they sent their tanks on the other side.
I feel like it's a bit of a communication issue because you could already see those first players from Run taking a bit of damage from the hill.
Yeah, true.
So I'm not entirely sure why those guys were going around the back there. Maybe they wanted to try and do something aggressively and just timed it wrong. But whatever the case, it didn't work out well for them.
But here, Run. Poor Matt HK in the bat chat. Going to be trying his best to stay alive. I mean, he's on the attacking side as well, so he can't even play for time at the moment. And Matchy, I like watching him. He's a good sport. But unfortunately, just about to eat a few shells into the face.
That's going to be that there. The Coalition Zoo picking up the victory 5-2 over Run. They're going to be putting themselves in a good position now on the standings. But Run, on the other hand, not looking so great.
Not looking so great at all. I mean, look, I liked how Run played on Mines. Obviously, they played really well there. On Himmelsdorf, they were shaky.
Yes.
But Ruenberg was all right as well. Obviously, they took one on Ruenberg.
They took one on Ruenberg.
So, and it would have been interesting to see them on the defense of Prokhorovka as well.
Yeah.
But
I think they would have had a bit of a better time if they had have gone first on the defensive side of Prokhorovka.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
In the end, it was probably going to go 1-1 on Prokhorovka, and in that case, the Coalition Zoo would have picked up the victory.
Anyway. Exactly. So, yep. There we go. But yeah, Coalition Zoo, they are looking pretty strong this season, and I really can't wait until we see something like a TCZ EL Gaming matchup. I mean,
both
very
a little aggressive teams.
Yeah, exactly. Both very aggressive teams. Getting a little bit ahead of myself right now, but
yeah,
it would be quite interesting to see. So.
Certainly, well, I mean, we are eventually going to see it. It'll be coming up later in the season sometime. I don't know when, but that's a matchup to look out for, I dare say.
Definitely. But I know that we've got a few more matchups to look out for today. But I think TCZ, though, let's take a look at how they won that one, I think, Jordan, because there were some big plays in there that really helped them out. This accuracy.
This part here was really the turning point, wasn't it?
Exactly. They just got so many shots off on towards Run. Run couldn't do anything. Other tanks are on the other side of the rails, and it was curtains, just like that.
Yeah, over as quick as it started almost. Like typically on Prokhorovka, it'll be a really slow battle. Goes down to the wire. But
not with TCZ.
Coalition Zoo just keen to get it over and done with.
Exactly, and well, they certainly showed us how to do it. And I think anyone out there as well just can take a look at where they put their tanks in for the defensive positions, I suppose. And they were all able to get those really effective shots on.
Let's go ahead and take a look at how much damage Run was able to do, because I expect they're probably not going to be featuring too much on this scoreboard.
No, you're right. 1-5. All the Coalitions do those Object 140s doing work. The Chinese heavies, the 113s as well, getting lots of shots off. And, well, unfortunately for the guys from Run, 3 on the bottom. That's devastating.
4 shots from the Object 140, only 345 damage there.
I think it's risky to take the artillery on the attacking side on Prokhorovka as well, honestly.
I agree.
Particularly something like a Lorraine where, you can't really relocate it super fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of the Lorraine or the M4043, which is what we tend to see. So, I mean, it's I guess.
I'm an SU driver myself, but I do know that we're probably not going to be.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Between the two, the Lorraine's probably a little bit more mobile, but again, it's an artillery. So how mobile can you essentially be in an artillery?
Yeah, it's no FE 304.
304, yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
That's the one. Shame we don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Disappointing. Oh well. Maybe in some other. I'm sure we'll see it in some other Tier 6 tournament potentially, but not in the Wargaming.net League Gold Series.
No.
So
only the best tanks here.
Only the best tanks. Yeah, it wouldn't fare to. It could be maybe a good little scout, little fast nippy artillery. The FE 304.
I don't know what the view range is on it.
Probably bad.
Probably pretty bad.
Probably pretty bad.
Alrighty, well, guess that's enough of us talking on about the FE 304. We're going to be heading to a quick break, but stay tuned. We have our match number 2 coming up just after this.